I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. This is the City of Meridian Solid Waste Advisory Commission regular meeting for January 22nd, 2025. It is now 3 minutes after. Call the meeting to order. This is the City of Meridian Solid Waste Advisory Commission regular meeting for January 22nd, 2025. It is now 3 minutes after. Call the meeting to order. This is the City of Meridian Solid Waste Advisory Commission. It is now 3 minutes after 4, and we'll start off with roll call. Please identify if you're present or connected by video. Andy Arriaga, Beth Guajardo, Mark Nelson.
Present.
Scott Walters.
Present.
Steve Corey, present. Sanjay Dasam. Divya Dinesh.
Present. Hello?
Divya, I think you were muted on that, but
Can you hear me now?
present, so we'll go ahead and mark that as present. And Amy Kuhasian. Quorum being present, we'll go ahead and move on to business. First is adoption of the agenda. Hopefully you've had a chance to look at the agenda. Are there any comments on the draft agenda?
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the agenda as written. Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the draft agenda be approved as written. Is there further comments? Sensing the commission is ready for a vote, all those in favor of approving the agenda as written signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed, say no. The motion passes. Thank you. We will move on to approval of the minutes from the October 23rd, 2024 meeting. Are there any comments on the draft minutes?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to move that we approve the minutes from October 23rd meeting as written. Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the draft minutes from the October 23rd, 2024 meeting be approved as written. Further comments? Further comments? Sensing the commission is ready for a vote. All those in favor of approving the October 23rd, 2024 draft minutes as written signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed, say no. The motion passes. So we'll move on to commission updates. And I have to announce that we received a letter of resignation from Meg Sonnen. Meg has done phenomenal service with this commission. I do wish her the best in going forward, certainly understand the time constraints and issues. And so, but we are going to miss her. And that does open up some need for people to be involved in the Art Commission and also on the Art Week project and Public Works Expo. Public Works Expo is in late May and the Arts Week is in September. So we'll be in the near future looking for people to step up and help us get those projects going this year. And second off, I want to introduce another new commissioner who's, this is her first meeting on this. And Amy, if you could give us a couple of minutes of introduction, we'd appreciate it.
All right, I'll try that again. My name is Amy Chuhajian. I've been a resident of Meridian for about 12 years. I went to BSU and got my master's degree in educational technology and have worked in the learning and development sphere, mostly in tech companies over the last 10 years. I also participated and volunteered for MIAC for a couple of years and worked with Joni, and it was quite lovely. And so when I saw this opportunity pop up, I thought this is more of the civic end of things that I'd like to try out. And I applied, I got it. I'm very excited. I don't know if I'm more excited or my 2-year-old who loves garbage trucks and is best buddies with all of our recycling and garbage truck drivers. So happy to be here and have some clout with a 2-year-old.
Thank you.
Chair Sanjay is on now.
With that, we'll move on to staff program reports. The first item under staff program reports is operational meetings participation. Director McVeigh.
Hi, good afternoon, commissioners. So a couple of things that we'll present to you today, but we'll start with the operational meeting attendance. So we were asked to find ways to incorporate SWAC into more of the day-to-day operations to get you more involved in some of the decision-making that happens in the back end so that the SWAC can be more informed when we bring things forward. So part of that related to attendance on some of our operational meetings, particularly ones where we discuss new programs, services, or things that have a financial impact to residents. So there were 3 meetings that were identified. 2 of those occur regularly now, and one is sort of a future meeting that will occur in 2025, but it's not on the books yet. And so we would like today to ask you guys to identify up to 3 members that could regularly attend these meetings. A couple of things, this is totally voluntary. I realize that these are scheduled during the workday and not everybody can take time off work to come attend these, but we can't have more than 3 people at each because then we run into quorum issues. So we'd like to identify, it can be 1 person, but no more than 3 for each of these. We would like to request that we have regular attendance at these, right? So that not every meeting is getting everybody up to speed, right? We want to make sure that you're there for the run of it. And then our request would be then that SWAC member brings back updates from those meetings back to the whole SWAC so they can update them on kind of what's going on before it gets to the whole SWAC or decision making. So the 3 meetings that we would like participation in. So the first one is a monthly operational meeting with Republic Services. And this occurs on the first Wednesday of every month from 3:30 to 4:30 at City Hall. And I should say that this is generally when those are scheduled. Sometimes they do have to move around based on schedules, but that would be the first one, is the monthly operational with Republic Services, first Wednesday of every month, 3:30 to 4:30 at City Hall. The second one that we'd be looking to have participation at is our household hazardous waste operational meeting with our household hazardous waste vendor. That occurs quarterly. We don't have a set date on that, but we're looking to try to schedule or establish that a set time frame. But the next one will be on Thursday, the 30th, from 10 to 11:30 a.m. at the Boise Republic Services office. So usually that one's earlier in the day. And then the third one that we're looking for participation in is compost program planning meetings. And so that one is not set yet, but that would be anticipated to occur throughout 2025. That would be an internal city meeting where we would start to talk and develop the compost program and then bring in our vendors to try to develop a pricing structure and what that program could look like. So no set timeframes or frequencies on that, but that would be another meeting that would likely occur here at City Hall. So with that, I will turn it back over to Commissioner Corey and see if you guys have some consensus on who would like to attend.
I think first thing I'll do is go ahead and ask, are there any comments or questions of Director McVeigh right now?
Can I ask the role of, that I would play on one of those? Because Sayard participates in a lot of those and different staff representation. It's just where, I mean, I appreciate going to these sorts of things, especially with HHW, because I get a feel for why things are decided versus the bullet items on how things kind of ended up. But that is helpful for me.
Yeah, and
I just don't want to, duplicate effort or how much they would report versus the kind of flavor I could add.
great question. So the intent would be that SWAC would be there to represent sort of the body of SWAC, the opinions, and at least give us some guidance when the initial planning activities are occurring. Where we felt the disconnect was kind of happening is that we were doing a lot of the planning and we would bring a proposal to you, but at that point it was already kind of done. And so our hope is to bring you in a little bit earlier so that we have your input, your feedback. So the commitment, I would say, would be participation in those meetings, just sharing like, hey, in general, I think SWAC may feel this way, or did you consider this or think about that? And then the intent would be that at these monthly SWAC meetings, you would report back out to the whole SWAC, hey, here's what happened at the HHW meeting. And so we would kind of pull that report away from Sayard and kind of put it back to you guys to share with each other what was going on in that realm.
Thank you, because along with that is we often, represent SWAC or at different city events like the Public Works Day and those sorts of things. And they ask us a lot of questions. And so that's hopeful to have some more understanding.
Additional questions or comments to the director in regards to the participation in the operational meetings? Okay. I guess what I'll do at this point is to go ahead and request if there's commissioners that are interested in these particular meetings. If there is more than 3, then we'll figure that out. But for starters, let's just ask, who would like to be at the operational meeting with Republic Services?
Mr. Chair, I'd be willing to participate in that. The 3:30 timeframe and having that meeting here makes that pretty easy for me to make.
Thank you.
Or an easy backup for somebody.
And I guess what I'll say at this point is as long as there's less than 3 or less, then I'll probably attend each of these. But I will defer. If we've got 3 members that want to attend, then I'll allow them to do it.
Mr. Chair, I didn't quite capture all the timings, so maybe can I request for reviewing the timings offline after this meeting and then come back and volunteer for one of the sessions?
That works fine.
Mr. Chair, I'm interested in the composting position. If needed, I could also fill in for the household hazardous waste. So I'd like to be the backup for that if possible.
Mark, you were interested in the household hazardous waste?
Yes, that HHW, I've participated off and on over the years, and so I could definitely like to participate in that also.
Anyone else at this time that wants to go ahead and? Okay, thank you.
Yes, so what we'll do is we'll work with Commissioner Corey to get the finalized list of participants, and then we'll add you to those calendar invites so that you're aware of when the meetings are and if there's any changes to meeting times. So we appreciate that.
One question, sorry. Is it in person or is it Zoom as well?
Good question. I think they will be in person for the most part.
Okay. That's where, Mr. Chair, I need to look for my timings and make sure, confirm this before I commit to it. Thank you.
Understood.
Want me to take next?
Yeah, we'll go ahead and move on to the customer inquiry. This is an action item. Director McVeigh.
Perfect. So we have also been asked to have SWAC a little bit more involved in escalated customer service issues. So what that means is a issue that either a lot of people have brought forward or an issue that has come up through the mayor's office rather than just our normal day-to-day. Sayard and Republic Services deal with a plethora of complaints every day, but this is ones that have gone higher or more frequent. And I should say they do a good job at dealing with those. And so we had, and so the request was that SWAC provide recommendations for how you want us to handle these moving forward. So we have two that have risen to this level. So the first one is a customer reached out with concern over confusion on recycling week colors. So if you're familiar with the calendar magnet, it's a red week and a green week. Well, the carts are also a combination of red and green. And so there was confusion as to if I have a red lid, does that mean I'm on the red week? Well, all the recycling carts have a red lid, so you need to put your address in to find out which week you're on. So the request from the customer was that we think about doing something different. I know that this topic has been brought up over the years, but I just wanted to ask SWAC if you have anything different that you want us to do on this or how you want us to respond to the customer. So I'll leave it at that.
Commission, do you have any comments or questions at this point of Director McVeigh on this issue?
Just on a personal note, recycling occurs on the week I don't get paid.
Mr. Chair, I appreciate the feedback, but in some ways, it's not fair to ask me that because I've known my date for 20 years. However long I've had recycling, I don't know that I really read that calendar like from a fresh look, you know. I probably should. I'm getting the look from Rochelle.
Director, I want to thank Sayard and your department. The billing insert went ahead and put in some good, useful information, but I'm kind of curious, well, this is why I have always wanted to go ahead and have a baseline for these subjects to see what's going on, to see if where our communication efforts are succeeding or if they're flying under the radar and nobody's even seeing them. Comments noted, obviously, that it is unfortunate that they originally chose red and green when the two cart colors that we have are red and green. And a lot of people are probably notified which ones they are when they get their carts at the very beginning. But indeed, if you go on the website, put in your address, then it will tell you whether you're just getting trash or whether you're getting trash and recycling for a particular week. And kudos to Republic also, because a year or two ago, you had about 10 hits, links to go ahead and get down to where you were seeing your calendar. Now it's maybe 3 or so, but I don't really know how to shorten that at all, because it looks like you kind of go through national, come into the regional, and then eventually can put in your address and go to your calendar. But I know we've been working on this, and I know we discussed a year and a half ago, reissuing stickers. And I bet I wasn't involved in follow-up conversations on that, but I suspect the ability to deliver new stickers became really problematic. Either you, well, if you
So,
want to speak to that,
sure.
because you probably did think that through.
So yeah, Commissioner Corey, I think, one of the things you mentioned that might be a really good thing as an action item is just to track the number of these complaints that we receive over the year and then maybe bring those back to you. Because while this one complaint is definitely valid and this resident was having a concern, how much effort, money, staff time, city expense, Republic expense is warranted if most customers are being able to find it. And I think some of the things we could consider going forward is, if there's any way to make the websites more user-friendly, we could look at that. And then I don't know, this would have to go to Republic, but if there was a way to, this year it's too late, the calendars are printed, but could you change the week colors to something different than red and green?
Mr. Chair, maybe I have one suggestion here is, what if we have some kind of a sticker that we stick to, like one time, sticker down on the recycle bin, shows exactly which dates it is. So I get this little bit magnet, stick it on fridge, but if we can, maybe a cheaper solution is a little bit of a sticker that can be stuck on the trash bin itself, so it's obvious when the next pickup date is going to be. So you just mark the calendars. These are the dates, a small date calendar, basically.
Hey, Mr. Chair, this is Cord Stanley. I'm the general manager with Republic here. Thanks for giving me an audience to talk about color schemes and recycling. Well, we are actually in the early stages of looking at a kind of a market-wide reroute, and so that would involve everything from Homedale over to Boise. We all know the valley has grown exponentially over the last 5 years, and the last reroute we did was, I believe, in 2020. So it's time. So with that being said, we don't know what that looks like. We don't know how many customers will be affected. And when we have better fidelity on that, we'll of course come to staff and the commission here to make sure we're all in alignment with that, if that's what we want to do and when we want to do it. I would anticipate something happening in late Q2, early Q3. So we've got some time, but if we want to change the color scheme, that would probably be an opportune time to do so, because everybody's going to be getting new calendars and schedules at that time. So there's an opportunity later this year maybe to get some alignment and try to pin this down a little bit better.
Right, Mr. Chairman, to Cord's point, we have historically kept red and green stickers that just say you are serviced on red weeks or you're serviced on green weeks. And I think to Cord's point, when we reroute, we send a mailer, 2 weeks ahead of time saying you are now a Wednesday customer on red week. So we will be very specific. And then we follow up with a text message, and then we, like Cord said, we can follow up with stickers and say, you are now a red week customer. Look at all the red weeks on your calendar, or all the green weeks. And we can put an actual sticker on as we reroute the city. I mean, and those are always available now. So if a customer calls in and they're unsure, we will mail a decal out, or to HOAs, like new HOAs, that might be an opportunity for us to send 50, and anybody who wants one, or 100 or whatever, we can send those out in batches. People can always call in. The city has a link to our website, republicservices.com/schedule. It just immediately pops up and it says, what's your address, right on the landing page, and you type in your address and it'll give you your next recycling days, or if you're a composting customer, your next composting or glass recycling every 4 weeks, it'll tell you your next service is on there. So we can do a lot to spread the word and let people know, and maybe use stickers on the tops of carts or things like that.
And to put a bow on that, whether we decide to change the color scheme or not, it's an opportunity to enlighten everybody on the resources available. And we can make sure that those are clear, that, give a man a fish, right? Or teach him how to fish. So.
And maybe this is an opportunity to, even though the carts are red and green, to walk away from those specific weeks for recycling and have them be something else, blue and pink, or I don't know, whatever you guys decide, and have something not related to the cart, so there's less cart confusion. So like, for example, in Boise, all the carts are blue, but they're purple and orange weeks. So it has nothing to do with the cart. It's totally independent of the cart. So I think that's the hard part, is here the colors of the cart match the weeks. So maybe it's a chance to kind of keep the carts the same, so there's not a huge investment there, but just change the colors.
There's no other questions. I'll sit down on this. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just have one other comment. One of the problems we've had the last little while is people that have missed their holiday changes. And so I did make an effort to, read the new sticker for your January 2025, and I felt it was easy to understand that this last holiday didn't impact our pickup and those sorts of things. There is a lot of data on that magnet, that's for sure. But it seems reasonable that if we disassociated the color scheme from the color of the cart, it might, people wouldn't infer that on their own. Now, and also, if we do a color scheme, could we reach out to some of those folks that did file complaints and ask them for feedback? Or does that open up a can of worms?
I'm sure we could. We just might want to make sure we have our solution. I think, we addressed this customer's issue, so they weren't waiting for months, and they were able to find the website and put in their address and stuff. So I think that they're in a good spot, but it was, how can we make changes so that we're better in the future?
Additional comments or questions on this? Thank you on that. And then I think you said you had two, so.
Yep. So the second one is a customer inquired about the ability to have Republic Services provide a themed or colored cart to support different causes. So for example, it would be a pink cart to support breast cancer awareness. That would be at an additional cost to the resident. I do believe this is also a topic that's come up before and has been addressed, but I think there are some operational and safety concerns that Republic Services could probably speak to, but we would be looking for SWAC's response back to the customer of whether or not this is a viable thing that could happen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and SWAC. So we did have a customer bring a pink cart into the market, and she didn't get service because the driver didn't know if it was trash or recycling. Like you just see a pink cart out and they didn't really know what it was. And she said, well, it's obviously trash, but we didn't know that, because that it was, it was unclear to the driver. So we, also told her that we have run into this in other service areas. So we don't stock like pink parts. So like if she gets a cracked lid, we don't have pink lids or, we also have had issues where, there are many nonprofits that are affiliated with colors like, autism is purple. So we had people who wanted like, autism awareness cards. There are a variety of carts linked to different colors. And so then it becomes difficult for drivers who are just running their route to know what the cart represents or what the contents are. And we don't stock any of those parts to repair carts. We have red and green lids and handles and, things like that. We're accustomed to working on those. So it also, in these cases, the customers want to buy their carts and it's the city policy that they rent them. It's just, there's a rental fee, and if anything happens to the cart, we immediately replace it. So we don't have a mechanism like if they sell these carts, we don't have them logged in our system as, okay, it's a 32 gallon, that, like they just show up with their own size and their own color. And so it's really outside of the scope of what the city has offered in the past. So we've had everyone rent a cart and you can choose from 1 of 3 sizes, and they're the colors that the city has deemed standard. So I think Lorelai's asking, do we want to deviate from that now? So.
Mr. Chair, I think a simple answer is no. You're renting the cart, so you can't even put your own sticker on there that says, I support this or I support that. That's not the purpose of these carts.
Mr. Chair, I concur. That was going to be my feedback. I think that introduces a level of complexity that isn't helpful when we're trying to standardize services and meet deadlines and it route changes and all sorts of things and then have all these different colored cards. I just think it seems a necessary overhead.
I agree that seems like not great for efficiency.
Mr. Chair. Just one more thing, Mr. Chair and members of the commission. I mean, secondarily, I would agree with everything the commission has said. I think oftentimes with these individual requests, people don't grasp that we have 46,000 homes to service, and having individual carts for different purposes and different reasons is too complex. But additionally, I mean, your feedback is very valued, because if this person really felt that compelled, they need to have this conversation with the city council, because this would require a code change and definitely a review of our system entirely to make a change. What they may think is a small change is not really a small change. But your feedback on this one is very valuable, because if they decide they would like to have the council hear this, they would probably come back and ask what you folks thought. So that'd be helpful. That is helpful.
From an efficiency, we should stick with the standardized bins. But maybe as a thought, if somebody's really passionate, they can have a small circular sticker at the side or something like that, just to show the support. But I agree with the commissioner that these bins are not for the purpose of advertisement. They're serving the needs of the residents in terms of trash. So yeah, we're not changing the policy, I guess.
Commissioner McVeigh, do you want to follow up with any of the commissioners on their comments, or do you feel pretty good with Okay, very good. Anything more on this particular subject? Okay. Let's open it up to just general on consumer issues. Does the commission have any feeling, is this good? Is this practical? Is this worth it? Or would you like to, do you have any comments on that process? Do you want to wait until someone really wants to go ahead and follow the process in the ordinance where they actually present their case? So it's someone that's really passionate enough to actually make it their case, or does this work out better? This is a little easier on staff, obviously, to be able to present it. Any comments on customer complaint issues and whether what level you want to be engaged and such.
I think this might be pretty functional. Most folks around this time of day might not be able to come in and complain to us in person, and complaints are pretty important for us to know how we're doing and how we can serve people in the future. So if this is the best way for them to get their thoughts out and kind of bubble it up to us in level of importance, then I'm fully supportive of keeping the current process.
I would concur with that. There's no sense adding a lesser level of restriction for them providing feedback to us unless there's a need.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I think it's very beneficial to go ahead and bring this up to us post, as opposed to waiting until, I mean, we can't leave the customer. Need to educate them when the opportunity arises.
I concur as well.
So thank you. This is a great addition to the commission, and format worked really well. Unless there's anything more on that, then I think we'll go ahead and move on to the third item, which is operational data from Republic Services. Director McVeigh.
All right. So we were also requested to provide you guys a little bit more information on our operational data that we received from Republic Services. So we used to just kind of summarize this data into high level in a quarterly report, but this gives you the opportunity to look at more detail if you want to. So you will receive what we received from Republic Services. I did want to just take this to just ask one thing is, because it does contain some customer information like their name and address tied to their complaint, I would just ask that you keep that within SWAC and not distribute that outside of SWAC. But that is really our only request on that. But you will see all that additional data in the meeting attachment. Sarah will just attach it to the meeting and you can peruse it at your leisure. And if there are any questions or concerns with the data, this would be a great opportunity at the meeting when we have Republic Services here to answer any of those questions.
Not that we will share it with anybody, but just if you're concerned, can you anonymize the customer name and then share the information with us? So that might be one way.
And hopefully you've had a chance to see that. That initiated with the meeting call this month. So it might have been a surprise and it might have been a lot of information, but if you, any commissioners, do you have any comments at this moment? Thank you. We'll move on to new business. The first item under new business is the Community Recycling Fund Quarterly Report. And at the start of the quarter, back in October 1st, the balance in our Community Recycling Fund was $98,000, $98,048.75. Over the course of the quarter, we've received payments for materials that were taken through the hand-in-hand program, which is a bin that's over at the Meridian transfer station. As a result of that, it's source separated essentially into the various commodities, and Republic has been very generous in offering delivery services over to the recycling facility, and they can bail it directly. And as a result of that, there's a little bit of savings, and we've been in a position to receive a few checks. It's been roughly about $1,000. The costs of doing recycling have gone up, so that's going to drop a little bit. But regardless, over the quarter, we received $2,953.75. And as a result of that, the current balance on the community recycling fund is $101,002.50. To go back into this, obviously, some citizens go ahead and recycle. In fact, a good portion of them do. And that material then, to the best as possible, is put out on the marketplace. And we, as a city, then recycle. And depending on the markets, sometimes there's a good price received for those particular separated materials. Sometimes there's not. And I think overall, the costs of delivery, sorting, and then actually getting it to the mills has been more than the revenues that came in from recycling. So as a rule, the citizens, through the ratepayers, have been asked to go ahead and pay a recycling fee, which is part of the fee structure. We review that every year. But just to kind of put that in the point, obviously, we do have about 46,000 households just for, well, presuming a normal 95-gallon, well, cart for recycling and similar cart for waste. Household would pay a little under $20, but roughly $20 a month, I believe, for the waste services. Obviously, that's nearly, if my math is correct, approaching $1 million a month, something in that range. So when we get $1,000 back from Hand in Hand, it's a little difficult to go ahead and figure out how to handle that in a way that gets back directly to the ratepayer. So traditionally, we've looked at two possibilities: aggregating that money and then bringing it back to the community in either process items, projects that encourage recycling to hopefully get more people involved and bring in more material and hopefully get to the point of having more revenue from it, or to go ahead and give out grants for projects that benefit numerous citizens, hopefully a good number of citizens. Things like playground equipment in parks, art, city official art at the north and south ends of the traffic corridor through the city. We've picked up tote bags for reusable bags for groceries with the logo on it and such. But that's what's happened with the Community Recycling Fund. And we do have a subcommittee that is looking at the next opportunity to go ahead and do something with those funds. It's aggregated to a pretty significant amount, $100,000. So I think maybe next month we'll talk a little bit about the subcommittee, get some more staffing on that, and then that subcommittee will be involved in updating the paperwork and then also recommending to the commission any structure to that. So with that, I'll let it ride until we come back to this, but that's what that project is, and that's the status of its account. Any commissioners, any comments or questions on that information? Very good. Then we will go ahead and move on to the second item under new business, which is our, by ordinance, we go ahead and elect new officers for the commission for the coming year. That is the chairman and the vice chairman. And what I'll do is I'll call for nominations for chair, and then we'll follow up with this with vice chair. If we have more than one member nominated, then I believe we go ahead and do it by ballot. We probably should do it by ballot. But we'll go into this process, and I'll rely on my background in parliamentary procedure to go ahead and make sure that it's fair and open. Does anyone have any questions right now before we go into the process? Very good. Then we'll go into nominations for the position of chairman.
Mr. Chair, I nominate Steve Corey.
Steve Corey has been nominated, and I would go ahead and accept that nomination.
I'd like to second that.
And it's been seconded. Are there any other nominations for the position of chairman?
Mr. Chair, we second the Steve Corey for the chair.
I'll make it unanimous.
Obviously, a nomination and second is all that's required, actually. Anyway, I guess let me get back into parliament procedure. Are there further nominations? Any nominations? Hearing no nominations, then I'm going to close nominations. Okay, nominations are closed. So looping back a little bit, if there had been a second person, I would have turned over the gavel to someone else. We may have had speeches or whatever, but I would not run this portion of the meeting. But being as there is only one nominated person for the position, then by parliamentary procedure, that individual then is elected to the position by acclamation, which is to say, if there is any dissent. Is there any dissent? Seeing no dissent, then I will go ahead and continue on as chairman for the coming to 2025 year. And I'm sorry if I belabor this, but I do feel like I need to do it in a way that's open, fair, and gives everyone a chance. We'll move on to the second position, which is vice chair. Is there any nominations for vice chair?
Mr. Chair, I nominate Mark Nelson.
Mark Nelson has been nominated for vice chair. Is there a second?
Mr. Chair, I'll second Mark Nelson.
It's been moved and seconded. Do you accept the nomination, Mark?
Mr. Chair, I would accept that nomination.
Thank you. Are there further nominations for vice chair? Any nominations for vice chair? I'm going to go ahead and close nominations for vice chair. Very good. Then nominations for vice chair are now closed. And again, since there's one candidate for the position, then that person is considered elected by acclamation, acclamation meaning that there is no dissent. Is there any dissent to?
Oh, Mr. Chair.
And understand at that particular point, then we would take a vote majority winning, but seeing no dissent, congratulations, Mark, you are vice chair. Thank you for stepping up for the position.
Thank you. Will this double my pay?
Yeah, doubled,
Double. Thank
commensurate after the meetings. Okay, there's another thing in the ordinance as far as the schedule for when our meetings are going to occur. Our meetings occur the fourth Wednesday of the month at 4 PM, except for November and December. That is standing. We don't need to do anything about it, but if there was any comment about it, that would be in order at this point, but I don't see any commissioners reaching for their microphones. So we will continue to meet as we do the fourth Wednesday of each month at 4 PM, except for November and December. And with that, that completes our business, and we'll move into stakeholder updates. Republic Services, do you have any comments or?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commission. We do have a couple updates. The first is that our remodel of the MRF is well underway and on track. So we are getting equipment this month and next month, and the entire MRF should be retooled or refabbed by the end of March. Is that right? Still, Ward? Yep, end of March. So it's just under $7 million of investment. We're putting in a new baler, some new trash compactors, optical sorter, a cardboard screen, or what we call an OCC screen. We're making significant changes to improve the quality of material coming out. So in any finished bale, you want under 5% contamination, and this will help us without hand dressing all the bales and walking around and pulling out contaminants. This will really help us hit that 5%. It'll also capture more material going across the line. Right now we have 28 hand sorters, and so this will automate a significant portion of that, meaning we won't, the machines will be pulling out materials. So just by way of like human versus machine, the machines are much faster and more accurate with getting like more cardboard out. We expect an 8% jump in the cardboard that we can capture. We'll be sorting number 1 plastics away from the other plastics, and those will go to the plastics will all go to our polymer center. So it's an exciting time. And so we hope that maybe in the spring we can do a tour and you guys can come on out and see the upgraded MRF. And we expect better, pricing with the higher quality material and sending less trash to the landfill, just lots of exciting things at the MRF. So we're also continuing to get requests for bicycles through our Recycle a Bicycle program. So that is, and for new commissioners, we have for probably 7 years now, maybe. We started with just a container at the transfer station. We put out recycle old bicycles here. It blew up, and we had, hundreds and hundreds of bicycles. And so we have 2 commissioners, and we're always welcome more to come out. And Commissioners Nelson and Walters come out and work on bikes. And then we get those to people who sign up through the city website each spring, or they go to veterans organizations, Boys and Girls Club, Meridian Elementary, homeless shelter. We have a number of groups that we help that are all really needy. And so lots of good things happening there. So we're just getting more and more requests coming in on the bikes. So, and then the other last big thing is we would like to reroute. So keep that on your radars. We'll come back and pitch that pretty soon once we have an idea of timeline and what would work best with the city and Republic. But as Cord mentioned, we're not growing we're growing asymmetrically in Meridian. So, we're adding on, some houses have huge routes and some have the same route they had, a number of houses that they had 5 years ago. So really balancing those will offer a higher level of customer service for everybody, but we'll bring that forward. We'll definitely start probably with staff and try to look at the calendars, and then we'll bring what that looks like to you guys with some options, it sounds like. So anything else that you guys want to bring up? Nope. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions? Very good. Then we'll move on to Timber Creek. And first off, I want to thank Timber Creek for giving us a tour of their facility over in Napa. It was very appreciated, and you've got quite an operation over there. Do you have any comments or anything you want to bring? Very good. That takes care of stakeholder updates. Next meeting is February 26th. Well, any announcements at this time?
Mr. Chair, I just had a question,
Yes.
and I know we should already know this, I probably do, but do we have dates for Expo Week and Public Works Week and Unplugged, just so we can?
Okay, so I can answer. So the expo will be on May 22nd. That's a Thursday from 2 to 7 p.m., I believe is our normal time. And then we do have our Go with the Flow bus tour. If any of the newer commissioners are interested in going on that, that's a tour that Republic Services actually is a partner with us on that, and we go around to our well sites. You get to see inside the water tower. We go in a lift station, and you get to tour the wastewater treatment plant. So if any of you are interested in that, it does sell out every year, so I can hold you seats if you're interested in that. But that is on Monday, May 19th, and that one is, I believe, starts from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m.
Mr. Chair.
First off, thank you for bringing that up. Yes, Commissioner.
Raise your hands. It's a fun tour.
It is a fun tour.
It is. The get on the bus is really fun. And as a follow-up, Unplugged is May 10th. So. It's in Kleiner Park. It's really fun. It's in Kleiner again, right?
We're still working on the shelter number. Everything else should be the same. And will you be there for it?
All right, thank you.
So then the next meeting is February 26th, 2025 at 4 p.m. As always, if there are subjects that you have that you think we should pick up, please mention them to me or get them through Seared. As we do the scheduling, we'll get them on. And with that, we have completed our business. It is now 5 p.m. and I will go ahead and call the meeting adjourned. Thank you for your volunteering for the city of Meridian.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.